It all started on a Wednesday afternoon, the kind where the sky was too gray to feel cheerful, and my phone buzzed relentlessly with notifications that I had no intention of checking. Yet, there it was, a message from Emma, my childhood friend, someone I hadn't seen in years but who somehow still managed to worm her way into my life at the most inconvenient moments. "Hey, can you do me a huge favor?" her text read. I sighed and replied, "Depends. What kind of favor?" A minute later, the reply came, "Can you pretend to be my boyfriend for a while?" I blinked. I reread it 3 times. Pretend to be her boyfriend? Who does that even? Then, like clockwork, another text followed. "Please. Just for a little while. I promise it won't be awkward." I chuckled nervously. I barely knew what to say. Do we have to kiss too?" I typed, hitting send before second-guessing myself. Emma's reply came almost instantly. "Well, maybe. But only if it feels right. Look, just help me out. You know I trust you." And that was how my ordinary, boring Wednesday turned into a disaster waiting to happen. Emma explained over coffee the next day. She had a family reunion coming up, one where every cousin, aunt, and uncle would be interrogating her about her love life. "I just don't want to go alone," she confessed, swirling her latte nervously. "And I need someone who looks convincing." "That's you." I stared at her, coffee halfway to my mouth. "Convincing, huh? So basically, I have to act like your boyfriend? Smile at your relatives, hold your hand, maybe." She cut me off with a pleading look. "Please, just for a few days. You're the only person I can trust with this." I hesitated. Pretending to be someone's boyfriend sounded complicated and emotionally dangerous. But when I looked at her hopeful eyes, something in me softened. I couldn't say no. Not to Emma. "Fine," I said finally. "But if anyone asks about kissing, we negotiate." She grinned like I had just given her a treasure chest. Deal. The reunion was at her aunt's mansion, a sprawling house with manicured lawns and intimidating chandeliers. I followed Emma inside, trying to suppress my nervousness. Every relative we met bombarded us with questions. "So, how did you two meet? How long have you been dating? Are you thinking of marriage yet?" Emma leaned on me like I was her shield, and for some strange reason, my heart raced every time her fingers brushed mine. Was it just the act, or something more? By the end of the evening, I was exhausted but oddly exhilarated. I had survived the first day of pretending, and surprisingly, I had fun. The next few days were a blur of family dinners, staged couple selfies, and awkward conversations. Somewhere along the way, the lines started to blur. When she laughed at my jokes, my chest tightened. When she rested her head on my shoulder, I felt something electric run through me. One evening, as we walked back from a quiet dinner, she looked at me and whispered, "Do we have to kiss too?" My heart stopped. She was teasing, but there was something in her eyes, a vulnerability I hadn't noticed before. I don't know," I stammered. "I guess we'll find out." That night, under the soft glow of streetlights, we shared a tentative kiss. One kiss, just to keep up appearances, or so I told myself. But deep down, it felt real. The days following our first kiss were complicated. We continued our act, but now there was an unspoken tension. Every touch felt electric, every brush of hands made me second-guess my self-control. Emma, for her part, seemed oblivious to the effect she had on me, or maybe she was just pretending, like she had a secret she wasn't ready to share. At breakfast one morning, her cousin Lucy leaned over and asked, "So, you two look so perfect together. Aren't you ever going to hold hands in public?" Emma's cheeks turned pink. "Oh, we just like personal space," she stammered, shooting me a look that clearly said, "Save me." I chuckled awkwardly and reached for her hand under the table. she didn't pull away. Instead, she squeezed mine lightly. My heart raced, and I realized that the pretend part of this relationship was becoming increasingly difficult. A week into the reunion, we were sitting on the balcony, overlooking the mansion's vast gardens. The sun was setting, painting the sky in shades of orange and pink. It was quiet, almost painfully so. Emma turned to me suddenly. "Can I tell you something?" "Of course," I replied, trying to sound casual though my stomach did somersaults. She hesitated. "I think I might actually like you. Not just for the act, but for real." I froze. My heart skipped a beat. "Emma." Before I could finish, she leaned closer and kissed me. This time, it wasn't tentative or fake. It was real. Her lips were warm, and I felt every ounce of nervous energy melt into something electric, something I couldn't deny. When we finally pulled back, she looked at me with wide eyes, vulnerable and hopeful. "I just had to tell you," she whispered. "I'm glad you did," I said honestly, my hand brushing hers. "Because I feel the same way." Just as we were beginning to explore this new reality, life threw a curveball. Emma's ex-boyfriend, Ryan, appeared at the mansion, claiming he wanted to talk things out. My chest tightened the moment I saw him. Emma introduced me as her boyfriend, and Ryan's eyes narrowed. "So, this is the new guy?" he sneered. I tried to stay calm, but the tension in the room was palpable. Emma's hand found mine again, grounding me. "Ignore him," she whispered. But ignoring him wasn't easy. Over the next few days, Ryan tried everything, from subtle digs to outright confrontations, to make me look bad in front of Emma. It was stressful, yes, but it also strengthened the bond between us. Every time he pushed, we stood a little closer, held hands a little tighter, and shared a secret smile. The fake relationship had started as a favor, but it had grown into something neither of us expected. I realized that I didn't just like pretending to be her boyfriend, I liked being her boyfriend, in every sense of the word. One night, as we lay on the couch watching an old movie, she rested her head on my shoulder. "You know," she murmured, "I'm glad I asked you to do this." I laughed softly, brushing her hair behind her ear. "Yeah, me too. But I think we might have created a problem for ourselves." Her eyes lifted to meet mine. "What kind of problem?" "The kind where I don't want this to be pretend anymore," I admitted, my heart pounding. She smiled, and in that moment, the world seemed to shrink down to just the two of us. It was the final day of the reunion, and the mansion was buzzing with activity. Relatives were taking group photos, discussing upcoming weddings, and reminiscing about the past. Amidst all this, Ryan decided to make his move. He cornered Emma in the garden. "You don't have to do this," he said, his voice low but sharp. "We had something real." Emma shook her head firmly. "No, Ryan. What we had is over. I like someone else now." I appeared just in time to hear this, standing a few feet away, my fists clenched. Ryan's gaze shifted to me, eyes narrowing. "So, you're the boyfriend, huh? Pretend or real?" I stepped closer, trying to stay calm. "Real. Very real." Ryan smirked, but before he could respond, Emma took my hand, intertwining our fingers. "Don't say another word," she said. "We're done here." It was a small moment, but for me, it was monumental. I realized then that our relationship had transcended the pretend stage. It was real, messy, awkward, and absolutely perfect. Later that evening, after the reunion had wrapped up, we found ourselves alone on the balcony again. The night was clear, stars scattered across the sky like diamonds. Emma leaned against me, and I wrapped my arm around her. "You know," she said softly, "I was so scared when I asked you to pretend. I didn't want to lose you as a friend if things went wrong." I kissed the top of her head. Emma. I think pretending helped us realize something important. We can't pretend our feelings anymore, they're real. She tilted her head up to look at me. So, what now? I smiled, brushing a strand of hair from her face. Now, we start for real. No pretending, no games. Just us. She laughed softly, relief and joy shining in her eyes. I like the sound of that. The next morning, we said our goodbyes to the relatives. There were hugs, waves, and promises to keep in touch. But the real victory was the bond we had formed through all the chaos. Walking back to the car, Emma slipped her hand into mine, a small smile playing on her lips. You know, she said teasingly, I never thought a fake boyfriend would turn into the real thing. I laughed. Neither did I. But I'm not complaining. We drove away from the mansion, leaving behind awkward questions, nosy relatives, and the memory of our pretend love that had grown into something genuine. And as we held hands, laughing and sharing stories in the car, I realized something simple yet profound. Sometimes, the best things in life start as a little act, and end up becoming your whole heart. In the weeks that followed, Emma and I navigated the transition from pretending to dating. It wasn't always smooth. We stumbled through awkward moments, unsure glances, and unspoken feelings, but every challenge brought us closer together. We found joy in small things, cooking together, late-night talks, movie marathons, and even holding hands in public without the pressure of anyone watching. And while the memory of our fake relationship remained a funny story to share, it also reminded us how far we had come. From awkward kisses and pretend conversations to real love and shared dreams, we had built something genuine. It wasn't perfect, love never is, but it was ours. And for the first time, I realized that sometimes, pretending can lead to discovering what's truly real.